highway.
Hey loves, it's Chenelle and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I just wanted to talk all about the Northeastern co-op process. Currently, I'm a second year health science major and I just wanted to give you any advice on how to even get a co-op, my journey to getting my co-op, and where I'm at currently. Before we get into the video, please make sure to check out my other videos of Northeastern. I have a whole playlist that I'll put somewhere up here. I talk about social life, academics, financial aid, just a whole bunch of things, just talking about the university. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram and all my social medias. Now let's get into the video. Alright, so I wanted to explain the co-op program for anyone that doesn't know what it is. And honestly, co-op is what Northeastern is mainly known for. So it's a program where instead of going to classes, you are working full-time in whatever industry that you would like to for 6 months. And it's split up into spring cycle and fall cycle. Spring cycle, you're working from January to the end of June. And fall cycle, you're going to be working from July until December. Now, the differences between the two, there aren't any like major differences besides the time. I know spring cycle, I think we get fewer breaks because fall cycle, they'll have Thanksgiving break, Christmas break. But for us, the spring cycle, I'm on spring cycle, we had MLK Day and I think another holiday, but if you get those days off, it depends on where you work too, so you may not even get those days off. Also, the next difference is that the amount of time you have to apply. So for spring cycle, we only have from September until December, that's when our fall term is, to apply for co-ops. And for your fall cycle, you have January until June to apply. So the fall cycle has a longer time to apply for co-ops, and those 2 extra months can be really good for some people. But besides that, though, there aren't really any differences between those 2 cycles. Now, which cycle you are placed in honestly depends on your college/major. So for me, I was originally BNS and they automatically assigned me to be fall co-op. And then I switched to health sciences and they immediately switched me to spring co-op. So honestly, it depends. I think that some majors are able, or some schools are able to pick their own co-op cycle, but for most, I think it's just if you like, they'll just send you an email saying that you're on fall cycle, you're on spring cycle, and you'll just have to work your schedule around those cycles. Alright, so that is the basic gist of the co-op program, and now I'm gonna get into what you do before you even start applying or even go into your co-op. So before you start your first co-op, you have to do this class, a 1-credit course just talking all about co-op, and that's just with your co-op advisor and other people in your major. And in that class, we had to go through our resumes. We had guest speakers talk about how co-op benefited them for their future careers, and also had a few assignments to do, such as reflections. There wasn't a lot, but it was a very simple course. It didn't really do a lot. Just mainly talked about the job offerings that were there, and then our advisor answered any questions that we had about the process. The website that we used for applying to co-op is called NUWorks, and basically it's just a full database of all of the programs, all of the companies, all of the nonprofits, all of the anything that you would apply to, it would just be there. And that system, it will make you upload your resume, and your resume has to be pre-approved by your co-op advisor first. So they'll give you a template if you don't already have a resume. If you do, then you'll just tweak it, you send it to your advisor, they approve it. Once they approve it, you upload it to the system NUWorks, and then they approve your resume, and that's when you are released to apply to different co-ops. Now, you can search up co-ops by industry. So for me, I was looking for clinical work, so hospital jobs, and you can look it up based on the company. So if you want to work for like Goldman or Chase or any companies that you want to work with, you can search up those names directly and you can see the positions that they have. But if you don't really know what you want to do, but you know, like the specific job title that you want to do, so I searched up medical assistant, nurse's aide, researcher, those keywords I searched up to find a whole list of jobs. When you do find a certain position that you like, there will be a description of the job, and they will also have the pay range. Now the pay range depends on the industry. So for healthcare, I saw that the pay range was pretty low in comparison to people that are in business or engineering. They get the big bucks. But for healthcare, I felt that it was low. But it honestly depends on how many co-ops you've done and what position and what hospital that you're in, or whatever setting that you're in. Once you find a job that you like, you can favorite it, or if you're already released to the system, you can just hit the apply button and you're automatically applied to it. You don't have to do anything else besides that unless they ask you for a cover letter, and some jobs may actually do that. I found that it was mainly business that actually do cover letters, but if they ask for any other supplemental items, then you can upload that to the system as well. But honestly, the process is just looking for a position that you like, seeing if it fits your values, fits your wants for your co-op. Press apply and you just wait to hear back from people. In terms of applying, I personally applied to, I think, over 20 co-ops, because they say apply to as many as possible. And I know that over 20 seems kind of daunting, especially when you're like, oh, that's a lot, and you have to keep up with interviews. But honestly, you're not going to hear back from every single employer, because positions get filled up very, very quickly. So you want to apply to as many as possible so that you have as many interviews as possible and you have a lot of options to choose from. So after you hit apply, you have to wait to hear back from the employers. Honestly, for me, I started applying in, I think, October-ish, and I was waiting for so long to hear back from different employers. I thought that I wasn't going to get hired by anybody because it was pushing until like November, and I'm just here trying to figure out if I'm going to get a job or not. And then you finally get your first email. So the jobs can either reach out to you through your email that you put on your resume. So I had my personal email, not my school email. Or they can also, on the actual program NU Works, they'll have like next to all the jobs you apply to, it'll be like the job wants to interview you, or you've been selected for an interview. So that's how you know that you've been selected for an interview. Now, when you have gotten an email or gotten an offer from a company to interview, you have to rearrange your schedule and try to set up a time to meet with them. Luckily this year, since everything is virtual, all my interviews were online. So it would be a Zoom call or it would be a phone call, and you definitely want to make sure that you're prepared for that. Luckily, the school allows you to have mock interviews with your advisors. So I know for some people's advisors, like a mock interview is mandatory. I don't think that I had a mock interview with my co-op advisor, but I did speak with her frequently, just talking about job positions and what I was applying to, just to make sure that she knew where I was going, and she also gave me advice on where I should apply to. But I definitely recommend you do a mock interview if you're not used to interviewing and you're not used to talking to people, especially on Zoom. After you have your interview, you're gonna wait some time to hear back from jobs. Some companies will tell you that day or the day after if you got the position. Other jobs, you'll wait weeks and you won't hear a thing for them, and then you're gonna be like, did I get the job? Like, I don't know if I got the job, and then you'll be contemplating life and be like, what is going on? But if you did get the job, you'll get an email from them telling you that you've gotten the position, or you'll get a call. I got a call from some people as well, telling you that you got the position. And some jobs will want you to give them an answer right away because they have so many applicants and so many people that want the position that they'll tell you have a day turnaround or 2 days of a turnaround to let us know. Other jobs, if they're a little bit more lenient, they'll tell you that you have a week or let us know by the end of the week. So you really have to make sure that you're on top of everything and make sure that the jobs that you are applying to that you really want, you have an interview for, that you're gauging, can I wait for this position, or can I accept it, or can I not accept it? After you've accepted your co-op position, then you let your advisor know and you'll have a conversation with them, and then you have to go into the NU Works and officially put in your job placement, and boom, you have your co-op and you will be corresponding with your company directly. You no longer have your co-op advisor there unless you need advice from them about a certain thing about your job, then you can ask them for help. They will always be there, but for the most part you have the responsibility of communicating with your company, making sure that you know the start date, you know if you have orientation, the dress code. That's all up to you now, and you're officially in the working world. So that is all about the Northeastern's co-op process in general, and now I'm going to talk more about my own personal journey to getting my co-op. So like I said before, I applied to over 20, I believe, and healthcare, they were taking a really long time to start hiring people because their application / hiring process was way later in the semester than say for business or engineering or whatever. So I was kind of nervous because I was feeling like I wasn't gonna get a position, but they were just taking a really long time. So if you're in healthcare and you feel like you're not getting a position, it's not you. Healthcare just takes a really long time for hiring. I got interviews for 4 places, and I was really excited to hear back from them. I had Zoom interviews and 1 phone call, and I made sure that my background was professional. I was wearing professional clothing. I asked some questions about the companies, about the hospitals, and I also made sure to send a thank you email afterwards to make sure that they knew that I was really interested and that I was just fresh in their brain. And I'm proud to say that I was accepted to all 4 of the companies that I applied to. I am proud to announce that I am currently working at Massachusetts Eye and Ear as a medical assistant, and it's just been an amazing experience working at such a world-renowned hospital. All of the doctors, the PAs, the nurses, the other MAs that I work with have just been super amazing, and it's just been a wonderful experience being submerged into medicine and being in the hospital and just doing all the stuff that I dreamed of as a kid right now. In terms of advice for co-op, some of my number 1 tips are to always make sure that you ask questions during your interview. You make sure that you're staying engaged with your interviewers because you don't want to just seem that you're not interested in the position. You want to do as much research as possible and make sure that you're asking specific questions based on the hospital. So for me, when I was applying to I applied to 2 positions at Mass Eye and Ear, and so they had specific research programs that I thought were really cool. So I asked questions about that and questions about the work environment and the different doctors that were there. So make sure that you're tailoring your questions to the company so that they know that, hey, you actually do research on us and you're not just pulling up questions from other places. Also, another tip that I definitely recommend is that you don't have to accept your first offer. So my first offer for a co-op was at Mass General, and the position was to be a respiratory therapist aide. So basically I would just be helping the respiratory therapist with restocking any of the rooms. And even though it's an amazing position, I wanted more patient care, and I wanted to be around more of the medical professionals, such as like the doctors and the PAs and the nurses, just to see their different roles. And I felt like I wasn't going to get that experience through that role. And you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to accept the first position if you feel like it's not with your heart or what you want in your heart. Definitely wait it out if you feel like it's not the right place for you, but also don't reject every single offer because you never know if you're going to get any more. It's a really complicated process, but you want to make sure that you have the right place for you. My third tip for applying a co-op is just making sure that you are using your connections with other people. If you find yourself struggling to find a co-op, especially depending on your industry, definitely reach out to people through like LinkedIn, or even social media has been a great help because you can make your own co-op and people don't really know that. It's like you can use your connections. If you've done previous internships, different programs, you can actually make your own co-op, and the school does have funding for that. So you can apply for scholarships to pay for it if it's non-paid, or that can set up a relationship between the school and that specific company that you have a partnership with already, and that can just create more doors for other people. Finally, my last piece of advice is that even though the process is complicated, you will get through it. If you don't get a co-op, I know that does happen to people. It is okay. The world is not going to end. You can always just switch your cycle to the next cycle. So if you're supposed to be for spring and you didn't get a job, you can be switched to fall, and if you're fall, you can be switched to spring. So that is something that definitely has to be brought up because you're not guaranteed a job, but more than likely you will get a job. And if you don't, it is okay. The school will help you figure some stuff out. Your advisor will be there to support you, and you'll hopefully get placed somewhere in the future. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that it gave you more insight on Northeastern's co-op process and about my journey, and also a little bit of advice on applying to co-op. If you have any additional questions on Northeastern or co-op specifically, please feel free to DM me on Instagram. My DMs are always open. If you have any questions, definitely let me know, since a lot of people do that and I always love talking with you guys. Also, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.